Hello everyone, welcome to the session 4. Today we are looking at how to start a literature review. So far we have covered the basics of your research. We started with the most important research question, then we looked at the research title, then we moved on to the research aim and the research objectives and the research rationale. So that forms the introductory part of your literature review. Today we look at how we can start the literature review. If you look at the session objectives, first we will look at how do we understand the importance and purpose of a critical literature review and how it will help in your research project. And especially how do we adopt a critical perspective in reading for you to do the analysis. We will also look at what is the process to conduct a literature review, and then the most important thing is how to write and how not to write a literature review. So we'll look at some examples and how to handle the references in your literature review. Let's start with looking at what is literature. Now, literature can be many types of already available material. It could be industry journals, various online resources like blogs, websites, published material in the web. It could be textbooks, it could be newspapers and magazines, especially like Harvard Business Review, Economist, Fortune kind of magazines, and also academic journals which are published in renowned journal papers, and also conference papers. When we look at a literature review, generally we look at high quality material, and that's why most of the time we look for journal articles and also peer reviewed journal articles which are published in well known journals. Having looked at what is literature, now let's look at what is a literature review. If you look at the two callouts on the screen, typically a literature review is an analysis and integration of information from number of sources. And also, as the author, you will talk about what are the gaps in the literature which lead to possible future research. Also, if you look at a literature review, it gives a reader a picture built from multiple sources of other forms of literature. And also it is related to a particular topic. So few questions or one research question can be investigated in a literature review. When you look at a literature review, it can include things like list of relevant theories, and a literature review is a very good way to search for relevant information about a particular topic. And for example, if you have an interest in a particular area in project management, maybe agile, a literature review is a good way to learn about the agile methodologies. And also, it helps you to start thinking about your topic because you get various ideas and various opinions and various views coming from literature. And as we discussed, in your literature review and also in your final dissertation, the literature review forms a very important part, and it is like 5,000 words in your 15,000 dissertation. Now let's look at how do we start a literature review. I think before you start a literature review, it can be quite challenging. But it's important that you set some boundaries, and always the starting point for your literature review is your research question. Because the research question guides you in your literature review. So look at what does literature say about your research question and your research topic. You can search either Google Scholar or the BCU library about your research topic or your research question and see what comes out. You may have to narrow down your search so that you end up with a manageable set of literature. But when you look at it, when reading the literature, take down some notes and always read the abstract. If the abstract is not related to your research topic, you may want to leave it aside and go to another one. When you work with literature, you need to demonstrate that you are able to engage with the literature, that you understand it, and you are able to review it, and then you should be able to write it in your own words. Now let's look at what is the purpose of a literature review in a research dissertation. First thing is it highlights particular flaws or gaps in previous research. It also can show that the work that you're doing is adding to the overall body of knowledge that is existing. After reading some of the literature, you may want to change or refine or even completely change your research topic, because you may find that somebody else has done the exact study that you are planning to do. Another purpose of a literature review is to demonstrate that you are very familiar with the field of work, especially with regard to project management. It also helps you to express theory areas or what has been done before around your topic much better. And also, it helps you to review and do a critical analysis about what is available as literature in your research area. And here the focus is mainly on academic literature, so you will be able to bring a very rich discussion to your dissertation. And also, it will help you to provide the basis of your research or the underpinning theoretical basis for your research question and your research design. Now let's look at the process of conducting a literature review. The diagram on your left hand side gives you step by step what needs to be done. But if you look at a summary, the first thing is to identify relevant information sources. For this, as I said, you can use Google Scholar, or also you can use the BCU library. Check the abstract and the bibliographies at the end of the articles or the books and see whether they are relevant to your topic. If not, leave them aside. Another way to look at is identify the keywords which are mentioned in the journal or the book, which can help you to understand, is this within my scope of study or outside my scope of study. Now let's look at what type of questions you should answer while doing the literature search. I think these 6 questions are extremely important, starting with what is already known about the area. Again, if you take an example of agile, what has been already researched in the area of agile methodologies? What are the concepts and theories and frameworks that are relevant in this area? In the previous research, what research methods and strategies have been used by others? Because The findings of the research or the literature will depend on the methods that they used. When you compare few research articles, do you find any controversies? What are the similarities you see? Are there any inconsistencies in the findings? Particularly, are there unanswered questions? So, these are the kind of things that you need to have in the back of your mind while reading literature so you can mark them and bring it to your discussion later. Finally, let's look at how do we get the most from your reading. I think best is to take a lot of notes. If you're comfortable with electronic sources, you can always work on PDF form or you can print your key literature or journal articles and take down notes. And always keep questioning, is this relevant to my topic? What are the methods used? What are the conclusions? What are the further research areas highlighted in the journal article? Always go back to the research question and compare your research question with the research question in the particular article or literature. There might be some similarities or areas that are related to each other. Tag these sources so that you will be able to return later on if you think it is relevant. And as I said before, start with the abstract, don't read the entire article. If the abstract is related to you or interesting to you, keep them aside for further reading. And finally, don't stop reading, continue to read.